good morrow. Doctors be like, I got a patient to save. Doctors be like, I never learned how to handwrite. I never learned how to write with my hands. Doctors be like, I'm gonna put a finger up your ass. Doctors be like, you've got 1 week to live. Doctors be like, I'm gonna give you the starfish. Doctors be like, bend over and cough. I think after a prostate exam you should get a lollipop. I haven't had one yet, so maybe you do get a lollipop afterwards. But if not, it should be a thing. I guess the greatest gift they can give you is saying you don't have cancer. But I think the second biggest gift is the lollipop. I'm not saying doctors be like a lot at the start of this video. Well, it's because I had a thought. How many things in the medical history do we used to use that we look at now and go, were we insane? And how many things in the future will we look at in terms of medical history and go, were we insane? But I was looking for a Wikipedia page about this to continue on my Wikipedia rabbit hole series, but I couldn't quite find the exact one I wanted. It was a lot of separate things, you know. It was like, oh, this thing was insane that we used to do, oh, this thing was insane that we used to do, but they weren't all compiled into one place. So I've found a little different list from CBS News, which, I mean, I assume they're reliable. I don't know. Maybe they aren't. Do I care? Not really, as long as it's fun. About the 15 most bizarre medical treatments ever. Calling them the 15 most bizarre medical treatments ever, that's a big statement, alright? That's a big hit. So I hope they're right. Like, starting off before we even get on the list, this bloke right here, that's Dan Henschel, right? That's got to be him, surely. Starting off strong, we have dead mouse paste. I mean, I don't know what a dead mouse paste could possibly be used for. Who looked at mice, one of the most disease-ridden animals on the planet, and went, yep, I'm going to crush that into a fine paste and put it onto my ailments? That'll help. And we wonder how all these like old-timey diseases came about. Yeah, it's from probably partially our own filth. Maybe not partially, mostly. Who'd put a dead mouse in the mouth? Ancient Egyptians did, with the hope that doing so would ease toothache pain. You know, every once in a while I've had a toothache here and there, and I take a few Panadol, and I go, this shit isn't working. What can I do to fix this? What can I do to ease my pain until I go to the dentist? Oh, that's what I could do. Find the nearest mouse and crush it into a fine paste and put it on my tooth. Listen, it'd still be crazy, but I could understand putting on an outside ailment, you know? Maybe you got a scratch on your knee or something, but putting it inside your mouth? That's another level of insane. Why would you even think of that? In some cases, mashed mouse was blended with other ingredients, and resulting poultice was applied to a painful spot. Egyptians weren't the only ones big on mouse cures. In Elizabethan England, what a surprise, the English being disgusting. One remedy for warts was to cut a mouse in half and apply it to the offending spot. The Elizabethans also ate mice, fried or baked in pies. We laugh at the English, but they actually still eat like that. They love mouse pies. They don't just eat like the planes are still flying over in the 1940s. They eat like when you used to shit in a bucket and throw it out the top window. Mice were also used to treat whooping cough, measles, smallpox, and bedwetting. Eek! Eek indeed, because I have a feeling the mice may have had some contribution to those diseases. Sheep liver diagnosis. I don't know what that could possibly mean. It could probably just mean sheep liver diagnosis, but we'll find out. With no blood tests or x-rays, how did ancient healers diagnose illnesses? Well, I'd assume they'd just be like, where's the sore spot? Oh, it's in your side? I think it might be a kidney or something. That's what I'd assume, but probably wrong. In Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, practitioners made judgments by not inspecting the patient, but by examining the livers of sacrificed sheep. That makes sense. You know, the person who's in pain, we won't look at them, okay? Forget them, alright? They're writhing around. Ooh, I'm sore. Who cares, alright? Let's look at the liver from the sacrificed sheep from last night. That's a great idea. We'll figure it out from there. Why didn't you just throw a few pebbles on the ground and see what it made and go, yep, alright, brain cancer. At the time, the liver was thought to be the source of human blood, and hence the source of life itself. Clay models of sheep livers date back as far as 2050 BC. Talk about medicine gone bad. Okay, if this person keeps making puns, they're gonna suffer. Hemoglostectomy, and it's just a guy about to cut his tongue off. What's the best treatment for stuttering? Don't tell me it's cutting off the tongue, because I have a feeling that's, well, I mean, it will get rid of the stuttering, because you'll no longer be able to speak properly, but, you know, don't think that's the best way to do it. Doctors in the 18th and 19th century often cut off half the stutterer's tongue. I wonder if it was like, you know, not quite a medical thing. It was like, I'm sick of this bloody guy stuttering and spluttering, alright? Every time he speaks, he spits on me. Okay, I just want him to stop speaking altogether. Let's cut out his tongue and tell him that this will fix your stuttering. I feel like it might have been done out of spite more than anything. Hemoglostectomy is still used today, but as a treatment for oral cancer. And now it's done under general anesthesia, which wasn't the case back in the day. And pain was only one problem. The treatment didn't work, and some patients bled to death. fuck, of course they did. Well, yeah, why not? Imagine that's how you die. You bleed to death because someone cut out your tongue because you stuttered too much. I mean, I'd have that problem. I don't have a stutter, but I'd have that problem. The amount of outtakes I have when I'm trying to speak, if they saw some of my raw footage, okay, I'd be screwed. Crocodile dung. Now we're getting somewhere. This is the stuff that I like. Not in terms of like, I like it. I just like hearing about how people use shit for stuff, because obviously that's a bad idea. I don't like crocodile shit. Get out of here. Think condoms are a drag? That first little sentence, I have no idea where this is going. What the hell is crocodile shit and condoms got to do with anything? In ancient Egypt, the contraceptive of choice was crocodile dung. Ugh, imagine putting that on your penis. You're putting shit on your cock. Dried dung was inserted into the vagina. I retract my statement. Sorry, ladies. Either way, it would be going in there, I suppose. But, yeah, I'm sorry for everything. What can I say? The idea being that it would soften as it reached body temperature to form an impenetrable barrier. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that they were trying contraceptives even back then. But at the same time, why in God's earth would you think, yeah, let's put shit into the human body, okay? The only time there should be shit in the human body is if it's your own and if it's ready to come out. That's the only time. I can't imagine the thousands of infections this caused. Like, they'll be like, what is going on in my spot down there? I'm not sure. It's very bizarre. It's very weird. Would it have anything to do with the crocodile dung? Are you crazy? No, that's stopping you from having a child. That is a contraceptive. Okay, well used, well known. You think that's causing the infection? Yeah, alright honey. Other contraceptive pessaries used back in the day included tree sap. I mean, it's better. Lemon halves. Cotton. Okay, we're getting better. Wool. Better. Sea sponges. Elephant dung. Oh my god, why do we go back to the dung thing? The cotton and the wool, I mean, probably didn't work, but better. And then you go, you know what, elephant dung, let's do that. Powder of sympathy. Sounds like some type of potion. Why is it showing me worms in dirt? That cannot be the powder of sympathy that I'm thinking of. 17th century medicine can seem a bit crazy to modern people. A bit crazy, I think, is a bit of a low ball, you know. I think it's a lot crazy. I mean, cutting your tongue out because you stutter, that's insane. Putting elephant dung in your lady purse, terrible. But perhaps nothing seems wackier than Sir Kenelm Digby's powder of sympathy. The powder was intended as a treatment for very specific injury. Rapier wounds. It was made of earthworms, pig brains, iron oxide, bits of mummified corpses. I feel like out of all those things, the rust is the worst thing. You just get an instant tetanus. Maybe it's helping your rapier wounds, but at the same time, you're getting tetanus. Ground into a powder. The powder was applied not to the wound itself, but to the offending weapon. Are you healing the weapon? What? Digby thought that the strange concoction would somehow encourage the wound itself to heal, via a process called sympathetic magic. Snake oil. Finally something that actually works. Snake oil hasn't always been a just euphemism for a quack medical treatment. For centuries, oil from the Chinese water snake was an actual treatment used in traditional Chinese medicine to relieve joint pain. In fact, it's still used today. So what you're saying is the snake oil, it works? Snake oil seems to be brought to America by Chinese labourers who worked on the Transcontinental Railroad. This is backbreaking work, and the labourers are thought to have rubbed the oil on their aching joints. We know today that snakes are a rich source of eicosapentaenoic acid. Did I say that right? I don't care. An omega-3 fatty acid that has anti-inflammatory properties. So you're telling me that it works? Why is this on the crazy medicines thing? This should be not there if that's what you're trying to tell me. If it works for aching joints and stuff, I mean, I feel like it's on the wrong list. It should be on the list of stuff that they figured out early on and went, hey, this works until today. Urine diagnosis, and it's some sick freak sniffing very, very cloudy yellow urine. Look at that freak. He's enjoying it as well, isn't he? In medieval Europe, doctors often diagnosed their patients on the basis of uroscopy. Sounds scientific, but it really amounted to nothing more than having a look at the patient's urine. In fact, holding a flask of urine against the light was as much a symbol of medicine in medieval times as a white coat and a stethoscope are today. Some patients delivered a sample in person, while others simply sent the doc a sample. Doctors would observe the urine, smell, consistency, and even its taste. I know what you are. I know what you are, Dr. Freak. Alright, I know who you are. Yeah, send over a couple of glasses of your urine. We'll have a look at it in the light. Oh, why am I smelling it and tasting it? Oh, trust me, it's purely doctor's orders, you know. That's how I find out if you have an issue or not, is if I taste it and smell it. And if it tastes funny, then, you know, we'll send you away for some more tests. But this is just a preemptive thing, you know, you should be fine, but I just want to make sure. Crystal meth, and I'm looking at, supposed to be a doctor, but he's definitely a meth head doctor, because there's no doctor that would look like that. Hitler was a hypochondriac. What a start. His doctor injected his buttocks with vitamins, sometimes laced with methamphetamine, aka crystal meth. As one observer remarked, the injections helped keep Hitler fresh, alert, active, and immediately ready for the day. Cheerful, talkative, physically active, and tending to stay awake long hours into the night. Yeah, I wonder what that could have been. It might have been the vitamins, I think. I think the vitamins were the main source of that. I don't think the meth had any real effect on that. It's probably mainly the good vitamins, the hearty vitamins that were in that concoction. Albusby considered the Führer's crystal meth addiction one reason for his rigid tactics in the later stages of World War II, when he refused to allow troops to retreat, even under the most dire circumstances. Well, yeah, when you're on crystal meth, most of the time you are insane, you know. I believe a lot of psychosis comes from it, so, you know, already being an insane person, as he was, an insane psychotic, I think that would have just, you know, spurred that on even more. It made him even worse, which, who knew that was possible? Goat testicles. Yum. In the early 1900s, John Brinkley became one of the richest doctors in America, despite having no medical qualifications. He claimed he could cure impotence, infertility, and other sexual problems by surgically implanting goat testicles into a man's scrotum. Well, yeah, you know, human male testicle, goat testicle. Is there a difference? Alright? We're both nutcases who love to hit our heads against each other when we get angry or excited. The surgery had no scientific merit and was extremely dangerous. Many patients died. Yeah, Doc, I have a limp penis. Can you help with that? Yeah, sure, I'll give you a goat testicle. How's that sound? Oh, okay, well, that'll work. Sure it will, you know. We've done many studies and none of my patients have died. Or, you know, not a lot of them anyway, so you'll be fine. Farts in a jar. In the Middle Ages, some doctors believed like cures like. So when confronted by the Black Death, thought to be caused by deadly vapours, they were convinced that a key to fighting the disease was to use a bit of therapeutic stink. Some urged people to keep goats in the home. Others recommended flatulence stored in jars. Each time the deadly pestilence appeared in the neighbourhood, people were to open the jars and take a whiff. Imagine that a deadly disease comes to your neighbourhood. You sniff a fart. A week later you die because it didn't help and you still got the Black Death anyway. What a way to go. What a way to go. Sounds funny now, but the plague was no joke. Sounds funny you do sniffing farts out of a jar, but the plague was no joke, alright? It was no laughing matter. So stop it. Stop laughing. Between 1348 and 1350, it killed 30 to 60% of Europe's population. The stinky jars didn't help. I don't know, maybe it could have been 100% of the population if they didn't have the stinky jars. How do you know it didn't help? Maybe it did. Alright, well I've had enough of these so-called remedies. Did most of them sound insane? Yes. A couple of them, like the snake oil, I mean, that sounded like it worked. I don't know why that's on the insane remedy list. It shouldn't be there. But anyway, like and subscribe. I'll see you later. And if you do have a stutter, I recommend not cutting out your tongue. I just don't think that'd work. So, just, you know, be mindful. Bye.
Shifty Drongo. I love Shifty Drongo.